purposely spread this false narrative and went out of your way to joyfully rejoice about it, which you say later, which we will get to. You didn't feel bad knowing that you could have led to the suicide of a young gay man who had just been slandered in front of the internet for no reason. You didn't feel bad enough not to include that in the trailer. You didn't feel bad enough not to fucking tease that. So I'm sorry. I don't think you feel bad. And even if you do, I don't care. Again, like, you didn't feel bad enough to talk about this before it affected you directly. So yeah, I don't care. Your actions, your continued support of Jeffee Star, his businesses, your continued support of a man who has done the exact same thing multiple times across his years. First, to a known predator who has gone on record saying that he has witnessed crimes before backtracking it. That, like, you can say that you care a lot and that this is really hurtful to you, but your actions say otherwise. If you care, your actions say you care more about money and wealth, but not about how your actions reflect on others. And that's messed up, because if you cared at all, you wouldn't have turned around and gotten into business with someone who would delight, like you said, like you literally said he did, when a child was slandered and smeared and bullied off the internet over false allegations. You wouldn't have supported him going after minors the way he has done multiple times. If you cared, you would have seen that as a sign of, like, oh, you have fucked up and maybe you shouldn't associate with this person no matter how much money he's offering you. But you didn't, because why would you? So I'm sorry that you have anxiety, but you're not a victim here, Shane. You're not. So stop putting the victim card on. Now we're gonna get into the meat and potatoes of this little bitch. He starts off his essay after the question and answer portion by saying how the series he did with Jeffree, which in reality was a long-form ad for his makeup palette, meant to monetize both of their viewing bases into wanting to spend money on this passion project between two friends who have just gone through all this hardship, and oh, they were stolen from, and oh, people don't like them right now, and oh, it was supposed to monetize their viewing bases like that, when in reality, all it was two millionaires doing something to make more million. All the while Shane professing he doesn't care about money, even though, let's be real, he literally right after saying that had to drive around his property in a golf cart, but it was really hard for him, but he doesn't care about money. Okay, did I mention I watched that while, like, homeless? That's really great. He starts off by saying that the series he did changed him as a person and made him more able to stand up for himself. And let's be real, I live in the future, so I can call bullshit right now, because literally this post was up for a couple hours before he, like a bitch, deleted it, citing that he was, quote, too sensitive for the criticism that was levied at him. He was too sensitive to be held accountable for what he was saying. Okay, and yet you say you could stand up for yourself? I'm sorry, but, like, hours apart, where's the lie? Which one's the lie? Let's never mind the fact that the hate he sent to James and then to Tati, all of that. Never mind the fact that to this day he remains friends with someone who called another person a predator and attacked this person's younger brother, who again was a minor, for no other reason than to be spiteful. Never mind the fact that he co-signed and continues to co-sign all of that, even just in the wording of this statement, and says that everything there is Gucci, and then downplays the fact that literally last week Jeffee Star threatened a woman with physical violence. But the hate he's getting, the criticism he's getting on this post, it's just too much for him, and we should all feel bad for him because he's not used to the internet being mad to him. He's used to being the internet's golden boy and being able to get the internet mad on his behalf, but they're mad at him? Oh, no. I personally love this post kind of ironically. Like, I love that within fucking hours it has already made itself irrelevant just in one of the first statements. Like, this has made me able to stand up for myself, and that's what I'm doing. I love that as I happen to be writing this, that's what's going on, and it's beautiful, show-stopping, iconic. I love it. It's A+ work, my dude, who thinks violence against women is a dope thing you do when you're an established billionaire and obviously co-signs that bullshit and doesn't tell his partner to stop. Shane then goes on to talk about how evil and toxic the beauty community is, going as far as to say that the releasing of voice notes and texts is so vile, which is ironic because what's going out and exposing Shane is voice notes and text notes, so it's like, oh, it's vile when it's happening to you? Okay, sure. Like, the man is hanging his dick on the cross of this behavior, this petty, drama-filled behavior, and saying it's so disgusting and he wants no part of it, even though he'd had no problem with it before. But then, literally, only 1 nanosecond later, he says, yes, Jeffee Star is on that list of dramatic people who he just described as evil and vile and manipulative and all this stuff. And he goes on to say, he will always be family to me, and I love him despite that. What? So you have him saying all of these nebulous, dramatic, terrible individuals are out here being terrible and garbage and evil and doing all of these things that you were describing, and kind of implying that you can't stand these people and want nothing to do with them because they're so evil and they're so terrible. But within the same paragraph, you are also saying you are friends with someone exactly like this, and it's fine, and you will never hate this person, and you will never criticize this person publicly because what the fuck? Like, my God. So it's fine when Jeffree releases voice notes and texts and shades people, something that you thought was so funny that when you did your initial video series with him, that you parodied that and tried to do that with him. But whenever someone does it to you, whenever someone else does it though, it's bad. So because you like this person and their quote family, what they do is okay. But if I were to do the same thing, I'm being unlikable and a dick and just terrible. Great. I am so glad that we have established that you have a bias as a narrator in terms of the videos you make and hold a double standard so big that I don't even need to go into the details about why it's wrong. Because I am assured that even with some of the dumbest people who have ever stumbled across my videos, that they would understand why that's wrong. Literally, your statement does all the work for me. You literally go, these actions I am listing are terrible. However, when my friends do it, they are fine. And I'm at least happy that you kept that part in because I don't have to talk about it any longer than I want to. Shane then goes on to say that he is helping Jeffree and he is trying to get him to make some changes in regards to the actions that Jeffree is taking in certain situations. And if that is true, which I don't think it is, Shane, little buddy, your idea of helping isn't actually helping. This man literally last month went on the Mom's Basement podcast, which is free on Spotify, and said that he has quote proof of James's actions last month, that he can prove that James did all of this, and he has a voice note and he could show people. He went on that podcast and called the victim of assault a liar and went on further to threaten the people who were talking about that situation, aka me, that he was going to sue them. He did that last month. That's something he did last month. And last week, he threatened a woman, which are all things that are kind of sort of not things you should be okay with. And yet, for some reason, Shane, you are, and you think you're helping him. For some reason, when Jeffree does these things, that are obviously garbage things, they are fine, they are good, you have no issues. Or at least you don't tell him to knock it off publicly, at least you don't comment on it. You just tell him behind the scenes, hey man, I know you're making me millions of dollars, but please stop, which we can't attest to. And no, I'm not saying that you owe a public response to your private friendships. However, what you do owe is for people to know that you don't think that kind of behavior should be a part of your business. And since this man is your business partner, you shouldn't be aligned with him. You shouldn't want to continue working with a man who thinks it's okay to threaten to assault women and to tell them you want to see them shot in the head with a rubber bullet. And you shouldn't be okay, allegedly, with him saying racist remarks to his staff, which you've told people he does. You shouldn't be okay with how your business partner presents himself constantly, time and time again. And guess what? You shouldn't be okay with how he's not changing, because I can point to his actions 10 years ago and his actions now, and people would say, yeah, that's the same person. He's continuing to do this. And your continued collaboration with him and making money off of him shows how very little you truly care about his negative actions. Him acting out, being dramatic, something you thought was so funny last year when you were filming with him, that is a staple of who he is. And what's more clear to everyone, and what's clear to everyone watching this situation, is that that is not going to change. That's not going to change ever. And it hasn't changed in the year or so you've been friends. So this entire bit saying, I'm trying to change Jeffree and make him a better person, is just that. It's a bit. It's a joke. A charade. It's not happening. Because, let's be real, if you genuinely cared about his egregious actions and how they affected people, you would have stopped supporting him when, I don't know, he attacked multiple of your fans on Twitter. Any of them multiple times he's done that. Or when he's falsely accused someone, or when he stood by falsely accusing someone, or when he took back falsely accusing someone only to falsely accuse them again. Any of those things you could have backed away from, but you didn't. You sat quietly and you made your million. So excuse me for not believing you cared. I have some more points, but I'm going to try to get through them as quickly as possible, seeing as if I go point by point through the whole statement, it will be like a 3-hour video, and like maybe I'll live stream it, I don't know, but like I can't right now. So let's do this. 1. Shane says he's never been in drama before joining the beauty community. This is notably and provably false. He was in drama way before that with Bobby Barnes, Bunny Myers, and others. Let's be real, he did blackface. He got in trouble for that. He was a part of the TanaCon series. He got tremendous backlash for his Jake Paul series. He's been in backlash multiple times. Him saying that this is his first time is because he is trying to spin it in an I'm so innocent angle. These people are corrupting me and it's stupid and pointless. We can prove that you're not. 2. He says this only happened because it's, quote, easy for him to get wrapped up in something potentially toxic romantic if I think someone I love is hurting or upset, which is garbage, because when someone I know is hurting or upset, I talk to them and I be there for them. I don't co-sign the destruction of their career with a false predator allegation. I also don't support the people doing that by promoting them directly after and buying their vitamins and trying to sell them to people, which again is what you did, Shane. Like, even in best case scenario, that is what you did, you dingus. So you're saying that, oh, I was just being a good friend. No, you weren't. You literally co-signed the destruction of someone's career. You cannot pretend that didn't happen. Shane says, I wasn't acting, which, okay, no shade. The thing is, you absolutely were, because we've seen you in videos when you are acting and in videos when you aren't. There's a very obvious difference, and there is a very clear reason why you are not an actor. He says, did I warn James about the video? No. Why? For reasons I will never discuss. Which, this is a blatantly stupid statement that is supposed to make him look honorable. He put this in there to make him seem honorable. Like, he literally only said, see, I'm keeping a secret for someone else, or James, when I could expose them right now and vindicate myself. Aren't I a good person for not throwing this other person under the bus who we don't even know exists? But in reality, all he is saying is that I can't give you an excuse about why I did what I did. But trust me, I swear, I'm a good person. It's garbage. It's hot garbage. He goes on to say, do I think James was a young, egocentric, power-hungry guru who needed to be served a slice of humble pie the size of the Empire State Building? The size of the Empire State Building? Yes. I'm sorry, let's roll that back right here. And let's for real count all of the negative adjectives this grown-ass man who co-signed false accusations against this teenager chose to use for the victim of that. Let's count what this man who took part in trying to destroy this kid's career, how many negative words he uses in describing the victim of that. He uses 5. And he could have easily said, did I think James was a bit egotistical? Sure. But instead, he says he's a young, egocentric, power-hungry guru, which lets you know, just by his wording alone, he still doesn't think that James is a victim in all this. Meanwhile, he knows that the allegations were false, and he still says this to his audience, painting James in a bad light, purposely trying to make James look worse than everyone else in the situation. James is young, egocentric, power-hungry, he's terrible, yet everyone else who falsely accused him, they're fine. It's manipulation. He then goes on to say what you want about her, but that shit will be in the history books, referring to Tati's Bye Sister video. And you know what? He's right, because it will go in the history books as the time 3 powerful, successful, millionaire YouTubers tried to take down a 19-year-old with unsubstantiated claims of sexual abuse. That's what it will be remembered for. Not her going, quote, all Game of Thrones and burning everything down and literally reading him to filth, which you think is so good and so amazing. And you're propping it up while tearing James down. Like, think about this. He says, Tati's beautiful, the video was well done, it was amazing, she read him to filth, all this stuff. Meanwhile, James is still the young, egocentric, power-hungry, evil person who needed humble pie. That's fucked. Was Jeffree excited to see a competitor fall? Probably. Imagine framing this situation, downplaying the situation that was, in reality, Jeffree spreading the allegation that James was a predator around and being happy to see him lose subscribers. Imagine framing that as like, oh, he just was excited to see a competitor fall, and then saying that behavior is acceptable. Delighting in the downfall of someone else. Doing that publicly. That is not fun or fresh. And it's actually disturbing. It's actually disturbing that he's sitting here like, yeah, Jeffree was happy to see James lose everything. What's wrong with that? A lot is wrong, Shane, since the allegations were provably false. A lot is wrong there. But according to Shane, that's fine. That's best friend status. Everything's still Gucci with that. He goes on to say that I am done with the beauty world. And you know what, Shane? Yeah, you are. Seeing as you milked every last drop out of your makeup palettes and still haven't put up one fucking tutorial or makeup look like you said you were going to. Remember when you made the Shane Dawson YouTube channel in order to show off what you learned, and you told Will Spill that like, oh, you really were going to put up tutorials and you wanted to do makeup all the time, and then you never did that and never used that for that, and so it was just an easy cash grab for you? Yeah, got it. It's been noted, dude. He put up another post making this 5 pages, and there's so much more to it, but it all at a certain point gets really repetitive. If you want, if enough people ask, I will do a live stream after this and share all my thoughts line by line and go over every point, but I doubt anyone wants that, to be honest. Through how he downplays the destruction of James Charles' public image, something he actively took part in and he associated with, how he continues to use such strong negative adjectives towards towards James Charles and positive ones towards Tati and Jeffree, and uses words like love and beautiful towards them, but like egotistical and manipulative towards James. And just through every line of this poorly worded essay, it's very clear to see that Shane is not a bystander in this situation. He's not pissed at Jeffree. He doesn't think it went too far. He doesn't care the mental health effects it had on James. He doesn't care what this is doing to people. It was fun, but now that it's come back at him, and now that people are criticizing him and looking at his actions, it's not fun anymore. Shane Dawson, you are gross. Last time I said anything like that, I lost 500 subscribers, and I feel like it's gonna happen again now. But your decisions to continue to defend the actions of Jeffee Star and pretend that someone, quote, deserved to be falsely accused of literal crimes because they, quote, had an ego that was so big that they deserved fucking a slice of humble pie the size of the Empire State Building, that is garbage. That is absolute garbage. The fact that you made millions off of someone else's destructions and continue to profit off of it, continue to associate with the person who did that, continue to use your platform to promote that, gross. Gross. But who knows? Maybe you just turned into a young, egocentric, power-hungry guru who just needs a slice of humble pie yourself. Who knows? I just know I'm grossed out.